when people are great, we all know they're great. Everybody knows Vince Lombardi is great and Bill Belichick was great. People have asked me throughout the years who two or three best coaches all time, and I've always felt Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick, and Andy Reid. But everybody knows and worships at the altar of the late Bill Walsh and the current Bill Belichick. And there was outrage when 70-year-old Belichick, off struggling seasons and weird coordinator choices and awful drafts, didn't get like multiple job offers. And here's Andy Reid. So the NFL, he's going for his 19th 10-win season on Sunday. I think they play Carolina. He'll get it. So I think he is just historically underrated. The NFL, the premise, though, is the NFL was built on physicality and brutality. We all grew up with defense wins championships. In fact, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, if you look at the NFL promos, the hits they show are now outlawed. The CTE lawsuit, Roger Goodell had several owners, including Jerry Jones, say, hey, we're paying quarterbacks now $20, $30, $40 million. Protect our assets. And so suddenly the NFL changed rules. In 2014, you couldn't grab wide receivers at the line of scrimmage, advantage offense. In 2018, they enhanced roughing the passer. In 2017, headshots, you're out of the game. Again, now wide receivers can go over the middle. By the way, those are all excellent moves. The game is now smarter. The game is now safer. And despite players getting bigger, stronger, and faster, the level of violence has gone up because human beings get bigger, stronger, and faster. Generally, you get to a Super Bowl, and everybody's got all their starters. It's pretty remarkable. They've extended the season. The game's more physical, but they outlawed the dumb stuff that you didn't need and nobody watched for. And while they've done that over the last 10 years, Andy Reid has dominated. Now, Andy Reid won when the rules worked against him. He got to Super Bowls. He dominated the NFC with 5 appearances in the NFC Championship with B and C level quarterbacks. But once the game veered toward him with Alex Smith and Mahomes, 10 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins minimum. And my takeaway is the first 25 years, he's had a 25-year head coaching career. The first 15 years, the rules worked against him, and he still won. They still had an incredibly winning organization in Philly without star quarterbacks. Belichick, once he got the rules pivoting against him, can't win. Maybe he will in the future, but his last 3 or 4 years, defensive coordinator named offensive coordinator, he was out of touch. He was tone deaf. Andy won when the rules worked against him, and now he dominates when the rules work for him. And I think, sometimes the world changes for you. A great example is Pete Maravich. Only 1 year of his career, and he was an old player, did they have a three-point shot. Pete Maravich, born too early. His creativity, his long-range shooting, if he was born 20 years ago, Pete Maravich breaking into the NBA, he would be like Steph Curry with better handles. He'd be an unbelievable superstar. Back then, he was kind of quirky and weird and wild and a wizard and never really panned out to the NBA like you thought he would. So Andy Reid is fortunate that as he's aged, finally the league getting smarter and safer has pivoted in his direction.
Yeah. So I really want to talk about this because I've been banging on this drum now since the beginning of this channel, quite frankly, of how amazing of a head coach Andy Reid is. And you can even see he's going to clinch his 19th 10-win season. And I got news for you. Majority of those seasons don't involve Patrick Mahomes. There seems to be this delusion that so much of Andy Reid's greatness is because of Patrick Mahomes. And people tried to act like that Andy Reid was not already an all-time great coach until he got Patrick Mahomes. That he wasn't even considered a Hall of Famer or this top coach. And as Colin, and I have other stuff that I'm gonna mention, but as Colin highlighted, where he was able to be dominant and win at the highest levels consistently for years and years and years when the rules were stacked against someone like Andy Reid, an offensive head coach, when it really was all about defense, defense, defense. And he's now played in multiple eras. And that matters. I don't know if it's because there's so many younger fans, or if maybe like you just don't watch as closely when you're a young kid, and now as you get older, you start to watch these games through like more mature, intelligent eyes. Like, I don't know what it is, but people forget how intense, how ruthless. Tom Brady himself has said, I make throws now. This is before he retired. He goes, I make throws now that I would never have made during my career, during the bulk of my career. He's like, I would never do that. He goes, I'm not going to risk having my wide receiver be taken out of the game. I'm not doing it. Tom Brady himself has admitted, while he was playing, while he was still winning, that football got easier for him because of the rules and stuff like that. That's Tom Brady admitting it. And if he wanted to kind of try to continue the mythology of Brady, he would have said, no, it's not easier. Being a quarterback is harder than ever. No, he admitted, no, it's easier right now. It's easier. And so Andy Reid got to succeed at such insanely high levels when everything was stacked against him. When he had quarterbacks, that weren't these all-time Hall of Famers. And yet he was still getting there. And it's remarkable. I mean, the dude had only one wide receiver his entire time in Philly, and that was T.O., and he had it for one season. And he went to the Super Bowl, and he lost to the dynasty of the Patriots. So let's take a look. So this is what I always just copy and paste to people who want to act like Andy Reid was not special. Andy Reid's wins with just the Eagles had him top 30 on wins of all time. Obviously, it would have gotten, he would have gotten higher and higher up in those ranks if he continued to coach with just the Eagles alone. But just if he just retired then, he was still already top 30. His playoff wins alone with Philly puts him in the top 10 of all time. And his win percentage would be 8th all time. He was literally one of the greatest coaches of all time just with the Eagles alone, without a Hall of Fame quarterback, which again is absolutely positively unheard of. Unheard of. During his 14-year tenure with the Eagles, Reid compiled the best win total, 120, winning percentage 609, and playoff victory total 10 in team history, 159. He captured 6 division titles and 5 trips to the NFC Championship game. During this period, no other franchise earned more divisional playoff round appearances, 7, and only Bill Belichick's New England Patriots exceeded Philadelphia's 5 conference championship game appearances with 6. So again, this is what Andy Reid is doing against Bill Belichick, who has Tom Brady as his coach, the GOAT, or as his quarterback. He has got the GOAT quarterback in Tom Brady. And this is what Andy Reid is doing. And Bill Belichick, again, is doing this in a total dominant defensive era, where the rules are all set up for a Bill Belichick to succeed and make it harder for an Andy Reid to succeed. Reid sent 19 players to 44 Pro Bowl appearances, the highest total for any team in the NFL during that period. None of those players had ever appeared in a Pro Bowl before Reid was hired. And this is what I also wrote. Like, this is an opinion. His resume with the Eagles alone was Hall of Fame. It's the literal general consensus for everyone except for, like, Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes fans. Like, that's the weird thing about the whole idea of, like, questioning Andy Reid. If you talk to any other player, coach, whatever it may be, media member, it's universally seen how amazing and elite Andy Reid has been. Did people say that he came up short and stuff like that in Philly? Yeah, that was some criticism. No doubt about it. But when you actually reflect and look back on what it takes to win and what he's accomplished, it can't be disputed. Like I said, the only people that ever want to consistently dispute Andy Reid's greatness are the diehard Mahomes fans that want to act like Mahomes is the reason for everything and that Andy Reid doesn't add to it. That Andy Reid doesn't make every single quarterback he could ever, have better. I mean, he was winning games with Alex Smith, won a playoff game. Someone tried to deny that. I was literally in an argument with someone, a Kansas City Chiefs fan, trying to argue that. And it's like, what are you talking about? Andy Reid immediately made the Kansas City Chiefs relevant and competitive, consistently competitive, winning divisions and a playoff game with Alex Smith. So let's not act like, like that he didn't already make moves. Obviously, getting Patrick Mahomes made it even better. You're going to be even better when you have someone as great as Patrick Mahomes. But that whole back and forth debate is like, it's just bonkers. And some people try to say like, oh, I'm using that as a way to pull down Patrick Mahomes, which is also just nonsense. Because I talk about how Bill Belichick helped Tom Brady as well. Tom Brady himself has said it. That's one of the most valuable things that he had that made him so great was his weekly meetings with Bill Belichick. Because he would have a weekly meeting and Bill Belichick every week would be like, this is how I would stop you. If I was the defensive coach on the other team, this is how I would stop you. And because of that, it made Tom Brady even better. It made his ability to read defenses even better. And that's also part of Tom Brady's superpower. People don't talk about this enough. But part of Tom Brady's superpowers, as everyone keeps talking about, who's a civilian quarterback versus who's not, as Nick Wright put it. Part of Tom Brady's superpower was his ability to read and break down defenses and know what to do. Bill Belichick is a massive reason for that. It's not my opinion. It's Tom Brady's opinion. So again, if you want to say I'm wrong, well, then you're saying that Tom Brady is wrong. And again, if you want to say that Tom Brady is wrong, by all means, be my guest. Go reach out to him and let your feelings known. So, yeah. Andy Reid is an absolute GOAT coach, and it's not up for debate, whether he had Mahomes or not. But within the last 3, 4, 5 years, and again, I don't know if it's newer fans or I don't really know where it's coming from, but they just want to act like he's like nothing or not a huge reason for the Kansas City Chiefs' success. I got news for you. Bill Belichick was a huge reason for the success of the Patriots. Yes, because people love to say, well, what did he do without Tom Brady? It's almost irrelevant in a lot of ways. It really is. It doesn't automatically mean then that you weren't responsible or played a huge part of winning because you weren't as successful when you didn't have a better quarterback. You will always be a better coach and a better team with a better quarterback. That will always be true. But guess what? A quarterback will always be better and win better when they have a better coach. So both things are true. But people don't want to see it that way. And I think ultimately it's because people try to identify more with a player than a coach, which is I talked about when I did a whole Harbaugh take before, about people see themselves as a player. When they're watching these games, they're like, oh, if only I was Patrick Mahomes, or oh, man, when I was younger, I used to be able to move kind of like that. Or they think to themselves, I could kind of do that when I'm like, relatively speaking, like when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, like I could do that at my own level. Obviously not at Patrick Mahomes' level, but like, I was a little bit of a baller. I could make some moves. I could scramble and throw and jump and dance and do all that type of stuff. No one's like, oh man, that's Andy Reid. Amazing play design and play call at the perfect time. Yeah, I could do that. I could like get down and develop plays and this and that. Like no one actually really thinks like that. Everyone sees themselves as the player, not the coach. So they always give all the credit to the players and not enough to the coaches. And it's just, it never makes sense, quite frankly. It never really makes sense. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours on this one. Curious to see how many Kansas City Chiefs fans come out of here and see what they got to say. Hopefully we can get hopefully this video, these views are not as dominated between just Kansas City Chiefs fans, but I assume it will be heavily since he is indeed the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.